I got a call from Shaka's office. Her management company called me sometime in 1978, and they said, we need you to come play bass for Shaka because her bass player is not available. So I said, what's the gig? And they said, well, Shaka's going out on tour with Prince to Europe for a couple of months. So I said, okay. I wasn't doing anything, so I flew to New York and joined the rest of the guys, Mark Stevens, keyboard player. So we were rehearsing at SIR in New York, in Manhattan. And we're learning the songs for Shaka's little set, her little show. But I kept hearing this boom, boom, next door. In the studio next door to us. Like somebody was over there. I didn't know who the hell it was, but they were grooving, and the bass was fat, and it was in a pocket, and they were like, and it was coming through our walls, and it was like disturbing to me because we weren't doing anything like that. And I was like, I gotta find out who this is. On a break, I went next door, and it turned out it was Anthony Hamilton's, who was an R&B singer back then in the 90s. His band was rehearsing, and they, the bass player, funky guy, I said, hey man, I went up to him. He said, oh yeah, you're Bobby Watson. I know you're Shaka's next door. I know you guys are here. And I was like, what the hell is that bass? And he showed me his bass. It was just a Fender Deluxe, 5-string stock bass. And I couldn't do anything about it. I really wanted one of those basses after I heard his, and how it could affect the groove if the sound is right underneath. And so I went on the Prince tour. We flew out to Switzerland after we rehearsed for a week. And I had a Japanese bass, Atelier Z, which was very nice, 5-string, beautiful instrument, clear plastic pick guard, just beautiful color and everything. The knobs were shiny, and maple neck, just a beautiful instrument. And it sounded okay. It didn't have the thing in it, but it got me by. And Prince, when I played it, Prince liked it. He was like, yeah, he was kind of got his approval. So, I just knew I was going to get rid of that Japanese bass and get a Fender Deluxe bass as soon as I could get my hands on one, which probably meant waiting until I got back to LA. And so the tour went on, and we went to London, and we had a week off in London, and the one night we had a week off there, they left notes in all of our hotel mailboxes saying, Prince has rented a club in Piccadilly Square, and he's having a jam session tonight. I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday night, and our next show wasn't until the weekend, Saturday night, and so we had the whole week off. And the note said, you're welcome to come jam, sit in. Prince is having an impromptu jam session, and whoever shows up, fine. It's not mandatory, you don't have to come. And so at the time, I didn't know a lot of people living in London. I didn't have any girlfriends, and I was just going out every day jogging. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna go down and hang. 7 o'clock, the limo pulls up out front. I jump in, and I get there, and I'm in the audience, and I'm out there with a drink, cocktail, looking around, see who I could see. And somebody came on the PA and said, Bobby Watson, to the stage, please. And so I go backstage, and the bodyguard said, Prince wants you to play. Shaka's going to sing a couple of songs. Prince wants you to play. So I go, okay, sure. But I don't have my bass. you know, tell Prince my bass is on the truck and it's not coming out until Saturday when we do the real gig. So he said, just use one of Rhonda's basses. And I go, no, 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 I'm not going to use one of Rhonda's basses. He said, I don't want to touch her stuff. And he says, just use the bass, I'll tell Rhonda. And actually, Rhonda happened to just pop up at that time, and he told her the story, and she gave me her bass, and she said, don't you scratch my bass. She had some brown, nondescript, I don't know the maker, it was not that great. It was not that great of a bass, but it was a bass. And it was 5-string, so I strapped it on and went on stage. And Prince came out and, you know, did his thing, and we're jamming. And then Shaka comes out and, oh yeah, and we started playing, and I was like getting into it. There's a video of this somewhere on YouTube of Prince and let me say Shaka Khan in London, or Prince in London, or one of the two, or Prince and Shaka both in London. But it was pretty good. I liked Prince's drummer better than the drummer we had, and we immediately started grooving. And he looked over at me and he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah," and so that was a good thing that happened there, using Rhonda Smith, bass player for Prince, using her bass because mine was on the truck. And the weekend came, the day of the show, and we were all backstage, and the bodyguard came in and said, "Bobby, I need you. I want to talk to you." Prince's bodyguard. And I said, "Okay, man." So we go over to the Shaka's dressing room, and he's got a little black bag. And he opens up this bag and reaches in and gets a big chunk of cash out. And he goes, "Prince thanks you for sitting in the other night." And I looked at the money, I went, "For sitting in?" This is as much as I'm making on the whole tour with Shaka's office. This is for one night playing 3 or 4 songs. And I got a fat handful of cash. It was all pounds. Of course, you know, we turn it back into dollars. I think it was about 10 grand or something. So it was a nice, and then I realized Prince is, wow, he doesn't need the money himself, and hey, why not split it up with all the people who came on stage and jammed that night? And I realized then, you know what, I like this little dude. Not only is he dedicated 24/7 to playing and jamming and dancing and creating music and grooves, but he's also generous. And it just made me think about all the people that I worked with before who were quote unquote celebrities, but were just tight with money, you know, the rumors of, you know, people, I don't want to say any names, but people who go out on tour and pay the best rhythm section in the land, backing them up, giving the guys $400 and $500 a show and per diem, and just not doing anything for them, not paying them any money, no bonus, you know. It's crazy, but it was really refreshing to be around Prince. And I realized, you know, he doesn't need it. He's got compound in Minneapolis. He's got his own masters back from CBS or Columbia, whoever his original record company was. He's got money. He doesn't need to hoard everything at every gig, every show. So I realized all these jam nights, the people who were on stage were the ones splitting. He split it among all the people. He didn't, you know. I just thought that was great. And when he passed away, I cried like a baby because that memory, I'm choking up now, that memory of him being such a sweet guy and caring about the people around him just touched my heart, and I cried a little bit and said a prayer when he passed away. Wow. Okay, I got my composure back. So after the London gig, that was the end of the tour. So we all flew back to LA, went to the airport. British Airlines said, "Sir, you can't bring that bass on board. You'll have to check it." And I said, "It's my instrument. It's my livelihood. It's in a soft bag. It'll get damaged under the plane." They said, "We have no more room in the overheads. All the closets are full. It's a full flight. We're going to have to check your instrument." I couldn't think of anything to get away from this situation, to get out of it. I was going to lose my bass. I was hoping I wasn't, but I had that feeling I was going to lose my bass. There was no road manager around or nobody of authority that I could sick on the flight attendant to change their mind, to get me to put my bass between my legs or whatever. And so I ended up checking my bass. And here's a picture of my Atelier Z 5-string bass when I landed in LAX and picked it up from baggage claim. Can you see that? They cracked it in half. And what I didn't realize, none of us realized, that on your claim ticket, if you read it, it says, "We are responsible for damage or broken items only up to $500 maximum, pay." So all I could get was $500 for a $3,500 bass. Even though Johnny gave it to me, I just didn't think like, oh, it's his bass, there's no loss. It was a personal loss to me, because I played the bass. It was my instrument that I took everywhere with me. So I was depressed a little bit. I got back to Palos Verdes and called Prince's bodyguard and woke him up and said, "Sorry, man, I hate to wake you up, but British Airlines, could you relay a message to Prince for me that British Airlines destroyed my bass and they're not going to give me any money for it, and I just wanted to let him know about that in case, something in the future comes up." And that was it, and I didn't think any more about it until 3 weeks later. I got a call from one of the ladies in Minneapolis in the office, Prince's office over there, and she said, "Give me your address, I'm sending you a check for $2,000 from Prince to buy a new bass." And he says he's very sorry you lost your instrument on the flight. Buy a new one. And I took that $2,000 and plus the $500 I got back from the airlines and went and bought a Fender Jazz Bass Deluxe. And that was my dream come true, because before we went on the Prince tour, I was listening to Anthony Hamilton's bass player in the next room groove on his, and I knew I wanted one. I didn't want to get it in that way, but my dream did come true thanks to Prince. So I won't cry at the end of this story.